Soldier E. Hood of the Battle Axes of the Most High, coming to you with another Fervent Friday. Pray everybody is doing well in the name of the Most High, and everybody is gathering their provisions for the actual little bit of cold weather that we should be experiencing soon, right? Give everybody a couple moments to come on in. I'm going to give a call, halal Yahweh Bahashem, Mashiach Yahushua, Barakatah, Akim, Wa Akwatim. Right? Like I said, this is another Fervent Friday. So we're supposed to be getting some pretty cold weather. So if you haven't already made your way out, get some water, batteries, get provisions, right? I'm just getting everybody opportunity to come on in, like, share, subscribe. Let them know Battle Axes have gone live on a Fervent Friday. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get it started. We're reaching that 2-minute mark. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Write down your precepts. This week's class, Shalom Salute, Officer your code, right? This week's class is Until the Death, right? Let's say it again, until the death. Because when it comes to the word of the Most High and what we'll be doing, and what our ancestors have already experienced, they fought to the death. Are you ready to do so? Right? I'm going to start out this week in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, right? It says, "Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison that ye may be tried," right? So keeping this truth, keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, a lot of us will be put into prison or prison camps, right? Yeah, we may be tried. Say you're not an Israelite or else, right? A lot of our ancestors went through that. Denounce it or death, right? Like I said, this is until the death, right? So, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, right? Be thou faithful unto death. Can you stay faithful to the Lord unto death, right? Are you willing to give your life for the Lord? Man, woman, child. You have to ask yourself that, right? A lot of people will get out here and play like they're in the truth. Well, I got my fringes on. Shalom, shalom, brother, shalom, sister, right? But who's really ready to die for the Most High if need be? Who's going to denounce their actual true heritage, right? And this is something that a lot of people don't think about, right? So if you're in a situation where you're on the fence, then ask yourself, is your salvation worth it? Do you want to see the kingdom? Or are you willing to go ahead and eat that pork, right? Denounce your heritage, right? Because these things will happen, right? Are you preparing your children for the hard decisions they're going to have to make, right? Are you preparing your wives, your husbands, your loved ones who are in the truth or are new in the truth for these scenarios, right? Shalom, child of the light. Come, right? As much as we feel that we're ready, they got all types of stuff. That movie Saw that they show us with a little jigsaw on the bicycle or whatever, that's just the tip of the iceberg. or how they really willing to do us. And we're going to go into some of those accounts, right? But I want you to think about this, though. It says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. That's red letter. That's Yahushua, right? Because we have to realize that yeah, you're right. It's going to hit the fan. Jacob's trouble is going to be, whew, trust me, it's going to get there. So we have to start preparing ourselves mentally. We have to start preparing for ourselves spiritually, fasting, praying. If you're not ready to fast or you haven't been fasting, start fasting. Skip breakfast, skip lunch, right? Are you willing to sacrifice so your kids can eat 2-3 meals a day, right? Are you willing to do that? These are things you have to ask yourself. Those with infants, small babies, right? Are you prepared mentally to deal with being in that situation of being hunted or having to defend yourself, right? Because all of this is unto the death. Once, I'm telling you, it's to the death. You want this salvation, you want this crown of glory, these are going to be the hard decisions, man. We can go into a lot of different classes, but we have to get prepared. We definitely have to get prepared. They're zeroing in. They're not looking at the other so-called groups anymore, right? They're looking at Israelites because they're like, well, how come no one's buying our TVs? We got them dirt cheap. A lot of people coming in the truth, they don't watch TV no more. Huh, okay? How come nobody's really going out to these nightclubs like that anymore? Buying these $100 bottles. They're starting to think about that. And they're starting to see people are actually willing. Shalom. The white man is Esau. God, well, he's a red man, right? These things are coming to pass. A lot of us pulling back out of the world is affecting the economy. Black Friday has to turn into Black November because they're not selling enough. You go in Walmart's, the prices were at a certain point, nobody's touching it. Now everything, you see clearance everywhere for everything, right? Our people need to wake up and come out of there. Let's go over to Matthew 24:9, right? Again, Christ is telling us what's going to happen. Be thou faithful unto death. Be prepared for that. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of us, but we have to start preparing ourselves mentally to deal with these things, right? Matthew 24:9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake, right? Christ is letting us know, hey, trust me, they're going to try and kill you. You think they're poisoning the food, poisoning the water, and all of that? Just wait till they cut that off, right? Starving to death. They said it's better, the scripture says it's better to die from the sword than to have to go through the slow pain of starving to death. So, I mean, if that's being said, most people, oh, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Start fasting. Train your body. Train mentally to deal with, you know what, I can fast today. See if you can go 2 days. Because once your body's used to that, right, it's just like an athlete training, right? I'm going to try and beat a mile under this time. I'm going to try and do this much under this time. We have to start training mentally or you will be broken. You'll be put into a prison house and put that pork in front of you or tell you to cut the fringes off your garment, shave your beard, right? And you're going to be right along with it. Oh, we're not going to feed you. Okay, fine. Right? Got to get to this point of where we're going, right? Shalom Yapar Adiva, right? I'm going to get an example of what's to come, right? And if you're new to the truth, and you haven't heard this account before, we're going to go into it. We're going into 2 Maccabees. But it says they're going to deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you. Let's get an account of when this happened. Because I don't want y'all to just think, I'm just saying, hey, they're going to make you eat the pork or they're going to try and do something to you. Trust me, it's not going to be what you're thinking. It's going to be a lot worse, right? And you parents, you have to start getting ready mentally because they're going to try and break you with your offspring, right? Those children belong to the Lord. So when you put in that situation, I want you to think upon this story right here, men and women, right? We're going to 2 Maccabees, the 7th chapter, right? And this is the woman and her 7 sons, right? It's the mother and her 7 sons, right? And I want y'all to understand this. The woman is symbolized as wisdom, right? The 7 is for those 7 captivities we've experienced. And the children are, of course, Israel. Keep that in mind, right? Shalom, Aqua, Sherry, right? Start out 2 Maccabees 71, right? And this is a good read, right? Shalom, Yaakov, right? Am I saying that right? Yeah, I believe I did. And it came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh. And they were tormented with scourges and whips, right? So they're beating this family, right? They're beating this family because they won't taste swine's flesh. So if this is happening back then, you can only imagine what's going to be happening when Jacob's trouble comes around, right? And it says, but one of them that spake first said thus, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers, right? Shalom, Aqua Sapphire, right? So the first one already spoke up, said we'd rather die than to break these laws, right? They're ready to go into the death. This is something you're going to have to think about. This is something that you're going to have to deal with, right? So start preparing yourself, asking the Lord for that endurance, for that mental strength, for that spiritual perseverance, because you will need every ounce of it, right? So sinning, secret sins, doing things that's displeasing to the Most High, you want to ask yourself, do you want that to add up for when you need the Most High's grace and mercy, and that sin and that judgment and that actual persecution to be increased because you did not listen, or because you actually wanted to go into vain ways or vainglory, or just not acquiring as the law commanded you to do? Because you want to ask yourself, before you do something, would I do this in front of Yahweh Shai? Because he's right there watching you. The Most High is right there watching you. So in reality, you are doing it. So if you're willfully doing something, you're like, well, I'm going to work on that, or this, that, and the other. And it's a sin based on the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's something you're going to have to work out, right? And I pray our people come up out of these scenarios and evaluate when we have spirits upon us. Because a lot of times we get caught off guard, right? Anybody, myself, my children, my rib, my brothers, my sisters, anybody can get caught slipping. And the whole point is to be focused so that way you can keep your eye on the ball, right? And it says, then the king, being in a rage, Esau's always raging. When you tell him you don't want to do something no more, when you take your kids into the school, hey, my child can't eat pork. They mad on the inside. Why not? Why is he better enough not to eat pork? What's the secret of that? Oh, what are you, Muslim? This, that? No. We're Israelites, right? We're Israelites. And this is when a lot of times they say, well, I'm going to stand on business. No, you better stand on scripture. You better stand on commandments, right? For real. Because if you're not, you got to deal with it. Then the king, being in a rage, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot, for which, being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first, and to cut off the uttermost parts of his body. The rest of his brethren and his mother looking on. So they started to disfigure this young brother, right? Who spoke boldly, right? Shalom, Aqua, Talia, right? They went ahead and cut his tongue out, right? And cut off the uttermost parts of his body, arms, legs, fingers. So if you ever watch movies where they had to torture, tell me where the drugs are, right? A lot of the Northern Kingdom brothers, they get down like that, right? That's out there in sin and the cartel and all that other stuff. They doing that for real. They don't have no, they got the stomach for it. They done it enough, right? But when the rest of his mother, his mother and his brothers had to watch them disfigure him, right? They was ready to go into the death. Are you? Right? It says, now, when he was thus maimed in all his members, so they cut off everything they could cut off, right? You can use your own imagination. When they cut off everything, they cut off everything. He commanded him, being yet alive, he was still alive, right? To be brought to the fire and to be fried in a pan. And the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed. They exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, the Lord God looketh upon us, and in truth have comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. So when the first was dead after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head, so they scalped him, right? With the hair, they scalped him. So they try to say, oh, the Native Americans was out here scalping the cowboys. Cap, right, clearly right here, they were scalping our people. Where do you think we learned it from? Right? They exalted one another and they praised the Most High because he died manfully, right? How many of you guys are ready to die in a situation like this, right? These are the things you need to pray for strength for, because it can come upon us at the drop of a hat. You go into the school, why is there an army at my child's school? They got you going over here. They got people going over there. Now they start separating. Are you ready for this? Right? You can have family game night. You can have all the fun you want with your family, but you better be having these hard conversations. I have these with my family a lot. And I know a lot of them, they can't imagine having to deal with that. I have to pray for strength to be able to deal with that. But at the end of the day, Revelations 2:10, we started out, be faithful unto death. He died first, the brother here, right? He spoke up first for his family. He died manfully, right? He died a warrior's death, right? They took him out like a coward. They didn't let him fight to the death. They had him chained up. They beat him. They scourged him. Then after all of that, and we just seen enough movies, 12 Years a Slave, Roots, any movie, Django, where they were beating the skin off our back, beating the lining out of us, right? To beat the heritage off of us. Now, we assume that a lot of people assume that we're free because you can go here, you can go there, you can do this, you can do that, but you're still not free, right? You're still paying taxes. I want you to think about that. The second one, they brought him up as a mocking stock, right? So think about your family, your first child, right? Or your husband or your wife spoke up. She wasn't afraid. And they went ahead and cut her tongue out and cut her members off. They did this to the Native American women, right? For celebration of Thanksgiving. You know how they went with that? The stuffing that they use for Thanksgiving is supposed to symbolize the dead babies that got pulled out of the women that were pregnant. Cranberry represented the blood, right? They used to cut off the sisters' chests, right? Breasts and whatnot, sew them together and let the kids kick them around or play with them like baseballs. All of this stuff they have made account for in their books, Our people don't read that type of stuff. But when these histories start coming out, they start to scramble. Like in Florida, they don't want you to even talk about slavery no more. They don't want that in the books anymore. They're trying to get that out of there. So that way you don't remember where you came from. You have no way to trace your lineage. That way when Deuteronomy 28:68 comes up to you, you have no idea that you came over here on slave ships, right? These are the crafty counsels they're taking against us. But we have to be ready to go until the death, right? So it says here, I was in verse 7. It said, when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, and they asked him, wilt thou eat? And they talking about eating that pork or that swine's flesh before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body. Now they already beat them, scourged them. Now they done scalped them. And back then, they not trying to do it gently. They scalping you. So if you've ever cut yourself deep with a razor, men and women, I've never used a razor. I got alopecia, so never shaved my head, you know what I'm saying? Never cut a beard or any of that stuff. But I've cut myself with a blade before by mistake, and it doesn't feel good, right? So imagine them scalping you. They pulling back your skin and your hair and ripping it back. They just getting a little bit where they can lift it up a little bit, they ripping it back. No different than you. If you bite your nails or the cuticles of your finger and you pull back that skin and it hurt, imagine that times 1,000. It ain't no anesthesia on it. They not letting you drink some alcohol so you drunk and you don't really know what's going on. No, you feeling everything, right? You just watch your brother get fried up like a chicken tender, and you have to exalt him because he died manfully. Now you're up the bat in regards to this, right? I pray I have the fortitude and the endurance, if I ever have to experience this or see something like this, that the Lord is with me and I'm strong in the spirit to make it through. And I pray the same for you, right? Verse 8. Now they done asked him, look, you gonna eat this pork or what? What we doing? But he answered in his own language, right? Which is the Paleo Hebrew, called Halal Yahweh Shema Mashiach Yahushua, right? And said, La'ah. He said, no. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did. And when he was at his last gasp, last breath, he said, thou like a fury take us out of this present life. But the King of the world shall raise us up, who have died for his laws unto everlasting life. And after him was the third made a mocking stock. So as we talk, as they were going out, they was letting them know at their last breath, no matter what you do, the Most High is going to bring us back, right? Now this is number, and there's 7 children. So this is number 2 out of 7. It's 5 left and the mother, right? Verse 10, it said, after him was the third made a mocking stock. And when he was required, he put out his tongue, and that the right soon holding forth his hands manfully, right? And said courageously, these I have from heaven, and for his laws I despise them, and from him I hope to receive them again, insomuch that the king that they were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he nothing regarded the pains. Now, when this man was dead, also they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said, thus it is good being put to death by men, to look for hope from the Most High, to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. Afterward, they brought the 5th also and mangled him, right? And then looked he unto the king and said, Thou hast power over men. Thou art corruptible. Thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of the Most High. But abide a while, and behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. So as they died, they basically had left the king with something to think about, each one of them as they died, right? And it says, but think not, Salakia, verse 18, after him also they brought the six, who being ready to die said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our God. Therefore marvelous things are done unto us. But think not thou that takest in hand to strive against the Most High, that thou shalt escape unpunished. Right? But the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain with the space of 1 day, she bare it all with good courage, because of the hope that she had in the Lord. Yea, she exalted every one of them in her own language, right? Kwam Yasharala, right? Filled with courageous spirits and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto him, I cannot tell how ye came into my womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you. So she, at that point, gave an accountability, right? A lot of people say, those are my kids, my kids, my kids. She just said, I don't know how these kids were formed. I didn't give them life. I didn't create them. She stood on the fact that she was a woman and what her womb was utilized for. She didn't need technology to tell her. She didn't need Google to tell her. She didn't need some physician to tell her. She knew that these children belong to the Most High, and they willingly died to keep his commandments. They didn't say, oh, spare my mother, don't kill me, I'll eat the pork. No, she was able to exalt them. Sisters, you must pray to have this type of spirit when these things happen. We're going to cut off your food stamps if you get them. We're going to cut your check back if you get them. We're going to do this if you get them. We're going to do that. We're going to do all these things to you women if you don't do this, if you don't tell us that, or you don't. They're going to have so many things in front of you. Think upon this 2nd Maccabees 7th chapter, right? Because she's letting them know, hey, look, I didn't give them breath. The Most High gave them breath, right? And she says in verse 23, but doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, as ye now regard not your own selves for the law's sake, right? These are the situations that our people will have to face. You have to ask yourself, are you ready to go until the death, right? Are you going to be faithful unto the death, right? When they deliver you up to affliction and try to kill you and will kill you, are you prepared for that? Are you getting prepared for that, right? Because you have to ask yourself. I'm going to jump down to verse 26, right? And let's see how she went out. She didn't go out boo-hoo crying. She didn't break down like a lot of the women break down now today, because they have not prayed for the right spirit. You can't get into the kingdom of heaven with the spirit of TikTok, the spirit of Facebook, the selfish spirit, right? These things won't help you get in. They're not. You're going to have to gird up yourself like a warrior woman, like a manly man. You have to gird up your loins, right? And this is just the first stop with examples. This is just the first stop. We going in, right? Verse 26, I'm going to jump down, right? It says, and when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she, bowing herself towards him, laughing, the cruel tyrant to scorn. She laughing at the king like he a joke. Spake in her country language, she spoke in the Paleo-Hebrew, on this manner, O my son, have pity upon me, that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up until this age, and endured the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, and consider that the Most High made them of things that were not. And so was mankind made likewise. Fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with their brethren. And while she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, Whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. And thou that hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews shall not escape the hands of the Most High, for we suffer because of our sins, right? And though the living Lord be angry with a little while for our chastening and correction, yet shall he be one again with his servants, right? This king was pissed at this point. He was upset. When you jump down to 39, it says, Then the king, being enraged, handled him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. So this man died undefiled, and put his whole trust in the Lord. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feasts and the extreme tortures, right? This is what a lot of our people need to prepare themselves for with this Jacob trouble. That was the first account, right? That was just the first account. The mother represents wisdom. 7 captivities, right? The sons were the children of Israel, right? Let's get another one. Let's go into John 15 and 21, right? Just want to read that out because a lot of times we go on with the daily day-to-day, we consume with so much stuff. You got bills, you got rent, you got health, you got so much stuff going on. You can't really think about what's to come, right? John 15 and 21, right? It says, But all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. All those things I just read, right? All those things that I just read, they're going to do unto us because clearly they don't know who we serve. We serve the Most High. We acknowledge Yahushua, his son, right? And when he returned with that sword, it's going to be hell to pay for these heathens, right? As we keep going, like, share, subscribe, right? Let's get another example. Let's go, and this is a quicker example. Let's go over to Acts 5 and 40, right? And let's see here. I'm going to start, matter of fact, I'm going to start at 39, right? So the book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 39. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it. This is something I got to remember. If it's of the Most High, you cannot overthrow it, right? Least happily ye be found even to fight against God. And to him they agreed. And when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahushua and let them go, right? So they beat them, and they said, don't even talk about Christ no more. I don't want to hear it. We beat y'all almost, you know what I'm saying? We beat y'all silly, right?
And let's see what happened when they got free, right? When they let them go. And they departed from the presence of the council, right? There will be councils, right? Rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name, right? And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach and preach Hamashiach Yahushua. So even though they were beaten, scourged, spit on, socked on, right? When they let them free, guess what they did? They went right back to teaching the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, right? No matter they try to come on the block and arrest us, send the Palestinians out there, any kind of heathen nations out there to try and fight against us, to get us to stop, guess what? When the smoke clear, that microphone going right back on, and we right back to it. You can write your tickets, you can do all of that type of stuff. Guess what? They get paid, right? Because we're going to let the Lord fight for us, right? Shalom, Sherry Freeman, right? Because at the end of the day, we're gonna make sure, right, that we are preparing ourselves until the death, right? Because we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to get right mentally, right? Let's go over to Sirach, chapter 4, verse 28, right? It says, strive for the truth unto death. We're gonna stand his word, stay keeping these commandments. We know what the truth is, right? We know what the truth is. Matter of fact, let's get it real quick. Say, strive for the truth unto death, right? Because you're going to have to do that. I'm going to go to Psalms 119, and I'm going to get 151 on this one. It says, thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth, right? These are things we need to be on top of, right? Shalom, 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 salute, Captain Jerubbaal, right? These are things that we have to, and hey, it's prep day, but every day we need to be preparing, because the Most High can just come however which way he want to come, when he want to come, right? So we need to be prepared for the great coming of the Lord, right? Let me read that again. Thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth, right? These are the truths that we need to strive upon until the end, right? I'm going to go back to Sirach 4 and 28. Strive for the truth unto death. So strive for those commandments, even if it kills you, right? And the Lord shall fight for thee, right? The Lord's going to fight for you. Just like Exodus 14 and 14. Hold your peace. The Lord is going to fight for you, right? These are the things, right, that we have to realize. And the next verse is a great one too. Be not hasty in thy tongue, right? But you have to pay for every vain word, right? And in thy deeds, slack and remiss. Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants, right? Let not thy hand be stretched out to receive and shut when thou shouldest repay. These are just small gems that we need to be applying, right, unto the death, striving for those commandments until the end, making sure we do right by our brothers, right? Because 31 is a law. You don't let the sun go down on somebody, you know what I'm saying, that you owe somebody. So if you have someone do work for you, pay that person, right? If you had a sister do something for you, pay that sister. Don't just be like, oh, well, I'm not going to give her money because she going off, or she did this, or I didn't like that, or I found something wrong with what was done. Try and come to a resolution and resolve that issue, right? Make the Most High proud that you're basically breathing or worth the breath that he puts into your body. And that breath that he puts into us, right, that breath of life is the commandments as well. You should know that, right? I'm going to go over to Philippians, right? Chapter 2, verse 8. And it says, and being found in fashion as a man, He humbled himself. We must learn how to humble ourselves, right? And become obedient, and became obedient, Salakia, unto death, even the death of the cross. It was talking about Yahushua. He humbled himself. They were socking on him, beating on him, spitting on him, crown of thorns, stabbed in the side, vinegar on the forehead. They went the whole nine, nailed him to the cross, mocked him, right, in front of everybody. Guess what? He humbled himself and became obedient unto death, right? Revelations 2:10, be thou faithful unto death. He said, I did it, you can do it. Are you going to do it, right? Is Yahushua giving his life for us worth it to you? Or do you just play with his name every day? I'm an Israelite. I'm going to do what the Most High say do. Are you really? Because a lot of us do things that the Most High is not pleased with right in front of his face and just feel like it's perfectly fine. Who's going to judge me? I don't feel like I'm wrong. Okay, well, we're going to see, right? Psalms 48:14. For this God is our God forever and ever, right? This God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's our God. It didn't say nobody else, right? And it says forever and ever. So you put an extra ever on that one, right? He will be our guide even unto death. Death is coming. We all got to go back to the hand of the Most High, right? Got to start preparing ourselves. We got to be ready to fight unto the death, right? Let's get another example, right? We go over to Daniel. Because our people, they said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about what happens. I don't care about the ending result. I'm going to just do what the Most High commanded of me, right? And this may be hard for some, but this is why you have to pray for that strength. Not the strength to go in and lift 500 pounds in the gym, right? But the strength to make sure you're lifting up the word of the Most High, 500 commandments, right? 613 in total. But if you want to be able to bench press 500 commandments, right? You want to try and get to the full 613, but you need to work on your spiritual muscle, right? Because these bodies are going to be destroyed. They're going to decay. They come apart. It's fine. We're promised new ones, right? Most High is not a man that he should lie, right? Now I'm going to go over to Daniel 3. I'm going to jump down to verse 8, right? It says, wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. Again, another people group that's not the children of Israel. But what did they do? They accused the Jews. You trying to save these heathen nations, you will be accused by these same nations you trying to save and be friends with and trying to, oh, we can get along. Nah, you will be accused, right? And they spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psalmistry, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. Nebuchadnezzar was feeling himself. He said, I don't need a regular Statue of Liberty. Make me a golden version of me. And when they hear this music, they better be bowed down. And if not, they're going to meet that furnace, right? But we're going to see what happened, right? And it says, and whosoever falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So what they did was they took counsel together and said, we want to get these Jews out of here. They took counsel, right? Privately. They took a private counsel. And now they come to the king and say, guess what? Didn't you say this was going to happen? Didn't you say that if they don't go down, and they named all the instruments, if we don't do all of this and bow down, they were going into the fiery furnace, right? And he says, there are certain Jews whom thou hast set
over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Right? So they went there, they got the snitching, right? They got the singing. Oh, these guys, you put them in charge. But guess what? They're not doing what you said do. We coming to you right now. We coming to prove it, right? And it says, then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. So, they was happy about that. Yeah, we got them. And we're going to get these Jews out of here. We got them. And Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? So he was really cocky. He's like, look, if you don't do what I'm asking you to do, bow down and worship this golden sacrifice, is your God going to even be able to save you from what I'm finna do? He was real cocky about that. Big cocky about that, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said unto the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. Right? So guess what? A little sarcasm in regards to it. Looking right into his oppressor's eyes, right? And he said it straight up. Our God gonna work for us. So do what you want. We don't care, right? He's gonna deliver us. He's the guy. So you want to be sarcastic about who we serve? We're gonna let you know that he's coming and he ain't playing no games about it. And he's gonna deliver us from this situation. So do your worst, right? Just like the 7 sons in Maccabees 7. Our people were ready to go into the death. Are you going to be able to go into the death? Right? When they cut your lights out, your water out, your heat off, your air conditioner off, no way to feed your family. Are you ready to go into the death? Right? Or you're going to die like a coward. Right? It says, if it, let me see, I was at verse 18. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy God, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he had a whole attitude with them now, right? Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was to be heated. See, they love to talk about the small hats going into the oven, but clearly we were catching the oven way before they even thought about the oven or that situation, right? But when we get to verse 20, right, it says, and he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. So he had to go call his best men. This is how much fear he had. He had to try and go get the best that he had to throw them into the fiery furnace, right? And it says, then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, right? Had all their clothes on, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So already the Most High made the fire kill those so-called mighty. I guess they wasn't that mighty. They couldn't get past the fire of the Most High. They got killed trying to take them down there to even be put in the furnace. That's how bad it was, right? And it says here, it says all these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto the counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth, come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains together saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted him. Because Yahweh was down there with them, right? They trusted in the Lord, and guess what? What they said came to pass. The Most High delivered them, right? Because they trusted in him, right? And have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any God except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the Most High God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon, right? And as you go into chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar realized, I better get down with the program, because I put them down there. My mighty men didn't even make it back. These cats wasn't singed. They didn't smell like smoke. They didn't smell like fire. And if any of the brothers know, out there cooking in front, when we cook on the feast days, that smoke that's coming off of that actual charcoal when we're out there making the chicken or the food for the feast days outside, that stuff stays in your clothes, right? And if you ever been in front of a grill, barbecue grill, you're going to have that smoky flavor on you, right? That smoky flavor. And we was at Tabernacles and we had to cook, hundreds of pieces of meat and different delights for us to enjoy of clean foods during the tabernacle. That smell from charcoal or fire or the wood or however which way, because we got different ways to cook the food, that's on your clothes, right? They didn't smell like any of that. Yahweh was in there, they walking around, they talking with the Lord, right? They talking, they having a good conversation. The Most High said, hey, going down there, make sure them boys are good. Howard went down there talking to him. Yeah, y'all straight, don't worry about it. Fire not gonna, we made the fire. Fire ain't gonna ever touch you, right? They were spiritually flame retarded. Just like a suit of a fireman is flame retarded or flame resistant. So was them, because they trusted in the Lord. They kept the commandments unto death. Unto death, right? We're not telling you to go out here and get into it with law enforcement. No, the vengeance of the Lord belongs to him. He's telling you to be prepared to go into the death for his commandments. Just like we went in Sirach 4:28, strive for the truth unto death. The truth is the commandments. You got to keep striving for them unto the death. No matter what's brought against you, no matter what's said about you, no matter what's going to happen to you, you strive for the commandments. You trust in the Lord because he will bring a fury seen like no other, right? Like no other whatsoever. We'll go over here to Luke 22 real quick, right? Because another thing we have to start doing, we can't get too hasty and say, what we gonna do, right? We can't be like, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? I'll die for my Israelite sisters, right? Yeah, sis, yeah. I'll die for my Israelite brother. Yeah, yeah. Gotta be really, really careful when you do that, right? Because Christ hears it, your angel hears it. You may want to do that, but the best thing you can do is keep these commandments, striving to death for these commandments, keep commandments and live. So that when you pray for your brothers and sisters, prayers are heard, right? Go over to Luke 22. I'm going to jump down to 31, right? And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, right? As we can see, the faith in those the three examples that we got so far, in Acts 5 and 40, 41, 2 Maccabees 7, and just now in Daniel 3, guess what? He can see it right there. He prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. Their faith did not fail, right? And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death, right? Now, the Most High knew what was going to happen. But guess what? Yahushua said, and he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before that thou shalt thrice or 3 times deny that thou knowest me. All right? He says, and he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and script and shoes, lack ye anything? And they said nothing, right? Then said he unto them, but now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise his script, and that he hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. Right? For I say unto you that this that is written must be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. Right? And they said, Lord, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. Right? So they had two swords on them, right? But Peter jumped up saying, I'm ready to go into prison. I'm ready to die for you. He said, bro, you're going to deny me 3 times. You can save that. Just being real with you, right? Because he knew what Peter was going to do. And Peter damn sure did it, right? So be not hasty to get out here saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this for my brother, that. First off, you need to make sure you're keeping the commandments to the liking of the Lord before you start making false oaths and false promises. Because when that day of death comes, you may not feel like dying for that brother or sister. That's unfortunate. You need to just do it if you're going to do it. You don't have to tell nobody, you don't have to make an announcement. You don't have to make a sign, any of that. Let your actions speak forth, right? Because you don't want to become a mocking stock and people expecting you to go hard for them, and then that day, you don't. Or you run, or you make provision to save your own life. Because that happens. A lot of people are not cut from the same cloth to lay down their life. Christ laid down his life for us, right? With pure courage, as well as he died a manly death, right?
He didn't cry out. He wasn't whining. Y'all come get me off this cross, man. These thorns hurt. Oh, we gotta put them thorns on my head. He ain't said a word. He ain't said none of that. He's just like, all right. That's how y'all want to play it? All right, bet. We'll see y'all. And he ain't have to say it. He could just think he could have easily got that off that cross, no problem. But Christ had to die for our people, right? Let's go to Ecclesiastes 8:8. Right? And it says, there is no man that has power over the spirit to retain the spirit. So when you wanna keep that spirit, that Holy Spirit, we don't have any power to keep that. Keep those commandments. Keep doing the Most High say do, right? Because you don't have no power. Oh, I ain't gonna never lose the Holy Spirit. I'm gonna stay in this truth forever. Oh, really? Okay. All right. Because guess what? It says, there is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death. When it's your time to die, it's your time to die, right? The Most High deals with everybody in certain circumstances. Hezekiah got extra time on his life, but then he still committed folly after that, right? And it says, and there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it, right? So we have to make sure that we're not given to wickedness, right? You have to make sure it's spirits out here that just come out of anywhere, right? You don't want to have a puffed up spirit, a prideful spirit, right? A spirit of laying snares for your brothers and sisters, right? We can't do this. We need to let our yea be yea, our nay be nay. Shalom, Jose. Yes, we had a very Barak Asher clash, you know, which is a very blessed new moon, right? Let's go over to 2nd Maccabees. Let's go back to the Mac, right? We're going over the 13th chapter, right? We're gonna have to man up, man. Definitely gonna have to man up. We're gonna have to make some very tough decisions as Israelite men and women. We're gonna have to make these. 2nd Maccabees 13 and 14, right? So when he had committed all to the creator of this world and exhorted his soldiers to fight manfully, even unto death, for the laws, the temple, the city, the country, and the commonwealth, he camped by Modin, right? And having given the watchword to them that were about him, victory is of God. With the most valiant and choice young men, he went into the king's tent by night and slew in the camp about 4,000 men, and the chiefest of the elephants with all that were upon him, right? And at last they filled the camp with fear and tumult and departed with good success. So when Maccabees is out here running his campaigns against those who were coming against him, right? They had to go at those heathens to the death. They slain thousands, 4,000, and the elephants. The elephants ain't even make it up out of there, right? That's what was going on. They say, hey, nah, we tearing up everything in here. Elephants, no, sorry, Dumbo. Dumbo didn't make it out of there, right? Let's jump over to 1st Maccabees, right? Let's jump over there. Right? And I want Maccabees, the 2nd chapter,
And this is First Maccabees, the second chapter. And we're going to jump down to verse 40. All right? And it reads, and one of them said unto the, matter of fact, I'm gonna go to 39. Now when Matthias and his friends understood thereof, they mourned for them right sore, right? Because the thing was, is when you jump up matter of fact, jump up to, I'm gonna jump up to verse, I'm going to jump up to verse 34. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit, they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said, let us die in our innocency, right? Heaven and earth shall testify for us, right? That ye put us to death wrongfully, right? So Deuteronomy 30 and 19, right? Record ye this day. Verse 38. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people. So 1,000 people got killed, right? Because they didn't offend themselves on the Sabbath day. They wanted to keep that commandment, right? It says, now when Matthias and his friends understood thereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. And at that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against them, neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places, right? And it says, and then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all as were voluntarily devoted unto the law, right? And also all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them and were a stay unto them. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger, right? Because Matthias was a Levite. You weren't even going for that, right? Them Haitian revolts were real serious. They tore France to a blaze. They burnt it to a crisp and got away, right? 1804 for my Z's out there, right? And it says, and wicked men in their wrath, but the rest fled to the heathen for a successor, right? And going after that, verse like 45 through 52, that's when Matthias went around with his friends and basically pulled down their altars. They circumcised the males, right? They pursued after any of the heathens that were super proud and things of that nature. They recovered the law from the Gentiles and out of the hands of the kings. So they went on a really campaign against those that was prideful and thought that they was actually doing something. They found out they were not them, right? Oh, and I'm gonna get that precept to verse 40 that I just read as well. And that's in verse 3 and I believe 21, right? And it says, but we fight for our lives and our laws, right? Because that's what he was telling, that's what the one brother said in verse 40. If we do as our brethren have and fight not for our lives and our laws against the heathen, we will quickly be rooted out of the earth. So they knew they was on the verge of being eliminated because of that. So we must be prepared
to strive for these commandments unto the death. This is where our fight will be. Striving to keep these commandments, to keep our families in order, to stay in order, to be truthful, right? In any circumstances, to not bend that truth, right? To not bend or break any of these laws. And we can do it. The whole point is are you going to do it, right? I'm going to go to my last example here. Okay, I want to leave with a really good example. Thus say the Lord. His word is so eloquently beautiful. I'm going to go over to Daniel 6, verse 4, right? Because this is what's going to happen. And this will happen in Israel. This will happen outside of Israel. Trust me when I say that this happens on a daily basis, right? It says, then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him, right? And that's what they were looking for. They were looking for something to trick him up. We got him. We got him with this. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Same thing they try to do with Christ. They try to find fault. When you're keeping that law, people say, well, what makes you perfect? Keeping the law. Keeping the law makes you perfect because guess what? You're not guilty in the eyes of the Lord, who is the final judge, who has a final say-so if you live or if you die, right? Let's jump to Jeremiah 20:10 really quick, get that precept for verse 4. And it says, for I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side, reports say they, and we will report it. All my familiars watch for my halting, saying, peradventure, he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him, right? But the Lord is with me as a mighty, terrible one. Therefore, my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten, right? Because this is what happens. When those Pharisees took counsel against the Lord, guess what? They never forgot them, right? When we do these types of things, it's going to put us in a situation where, what does it say? And they want to take their revenge, right? But when you jump down to verse 11, it says it's going to be an everlasting confusion, and it shall never ever be forgotten, right? Let me jump down to, go back to Daniel 6, and we're going to jump down to verse 10. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, right? Because basically King Darius had signed and made up a decree in regards to Daniel, right? They were trying to get him. They couldn't find nothing in regards to him, but they was trying to find concerning if they could get him to break the law of the Most High. They knew that they had him, right? Just like Judah 5 and 19 and 20, right? Let's see here. And it says, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and the windows being opened in his chamber towards Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime, right? And these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before God, right? And then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the lion's den? Or Salakia, the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not, right? So they trying to get Daniel thrown off in the lion's den because they caught him praying. They caught him giving supplication to the true God, Yahweh Shema Mashiach Yahushua, right? Let's jump down to verse 16. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee, right? They put a stone in front of the thing, left him in there with the lions. These kings, we know how these Edomites are very proud. Oh, well, your God's going to deliver you, huh? That fancy stuff that you're saying all the time, the Bahaj, whatever that is, let that fix it for you. No problem, right? Let's get verse 19. All right. Then the king arose very early in the morning, right? And went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. So he hollered, oh my God, what? And the king spake and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? And Daniel said unto the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel and has shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me. So the being innocent in the eyes of the Lord is the only thing that matters. We will be persecuted upon men, women, children, for who we are, and what we do, right? So we have to make sure we don't have a spirit of persecution upon us, right? Because guess what? It says, as before him innocency was found in me, and also before me, O king, I have done no hurt. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den, right? And King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwelt in the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble in fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, in his dominion shall be even unto the end, right? And that's my last precept in regards to it. We had example after we had Daniel in the lion's den, right? What did the king do? Wrote a decree. Hey, I don't want no smoke of that, right? What did Nebuchadnezzar do? Wrote out something. Hey, y'all promote it. Hey, ain't got no problem with you three brothers. Hey, y'all do this or mess around, dunghill for y'all, right? Going to Acts, the disciples were beaten, right? Told them, hey, don't say Christ's name no more. What did they do? They went outside, dapping each other up, giving each other hugs and stuff. Hey, man, they beat us for the Lord. Guess what? Oh, well, let's go teach some more of this word. I'm with it. Let's go. And when they still taught the word anyway, the woman watched all 7 of her children decapitated, dismembered, scourged, scalped, tongue removed, you name it, right? She still exalted all of them. The last child got it the worst, but he wasn't afraid to die. She wasn't afraid to die. She laughed that king unto scorn, right? And guess what? Be thou faithful unto death, until death, right? When they threaten your livelihood, your job, your medical benefits, your transportation,
right? Your shelter. When these things are threatened or put into the scope of being removed, remember who gave them to you in the first place. Just like the mother in Maccabees, 2 Maccabees 7. She gave an account saying, look, I don't know where you came from. I don't know how y'all got inside of me. I know I kept y'all in my womb. All right. But y'all belong to the Creator. Remember, you belong to the Creator. No weapons formed against you shall prosper. That's how you should walk. That's how I walk, right? If they're going to do it, however they're going to do it, it's going to be done. Will we be angry? Yes. Be angry and sin not. Will we be mad, right? Oppression makes a wise man mad. Well, that happens. Yes, but be thou faithful unto death. They will deliver you, right? Into affliction, right? They shall kill some of us, right? Some of us will be put into prison houses, right? But we have to strive for that truth. We must strive for that truth, right? We have to make sure we understand that the Most High sent His Son who humbled Himself and became obedient until death. We must be obedient until death, man, right? We have to make sure that we're not giving false oaths to the Lord, to our brethren, as well as to our sister, right? Because we don't have the power in the day of death. You can't just call the death off. It ain't gonna just stop because you want it to stop, right? Family members in situations that you can't control, you have to put that into the hand of the Lord. And still, it says we have to be responsible. We have to seek our own salvation with fear and trembling. We have to. We can't save anybody else. You have to save us. It sounds selfish. It's not selfish. Keeping these commandments, so when you pray for your brothers, sisters, family members, your prayers are heard. But if it's the will of the Father, then the will be done. If it's not, you have to understand it wasn't in His will. You can't be upset about that, right? Because you have to be prepared to go into the death, right? You have to be prepared, right? Each and every day, I try to prepare myself to go further and further and further unto the death, because I know that that may be one of the options on the table. Prison, death, or it could be mercy. Well, who knows how it goes. But guess what? Two options that's up there, it's prison or death. Got to be prepared for either one of them. So they say denounce who you is or take a bullet. You have to take a bullet, because guess what? They're going to kill you anyway, regardless, right? Because guess what? You may go ahead and eat the pork, and everybody else after you may say, I ain't eating it. And they're going to say, you know what? Just kill them all. But you didn't eat the pork. It's too late for you. You done already, guess what? You done already gave up and denounced your heritage. Guess what the Most High gonna do? You may have the most excruciating death out of everybody because of that. Don't die like a coward. Don't go out like a coward, right? Be ready to go into the death, right? And make sure you when you see these spirits that will gather, they jump on any of us at any given time, right? You must be prepared to deal with those spirits. Be prepared to humble yourself. If you have to seek counsel, if you have to fast, if you have to pray, get in the scriptures, burn the incense, do all of these things in combination, cry out to the Lord, right? Well, make sure we're not in a situation where we're displeasing the Lord, right? Because we have to be ready to fight for our lives and our laws, right? And guess what? That lion's den doesn't necessarily have to be with real lions, or it could be with real lions. But you have to be prepared to trust in your Lord with every ounce of your existence, right? Here at the Battle Axes, we say keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Always bring out a law, always bring out a commandment, right? Okay. I'm going to go with this week for the law. Right? I'm going to go with Numbers
15 and I'm going to go with Numbers 15 and 30. And it says, but the soul that doeth aught presumptuously, right? Whether he be born in the land or a stranger, the same reproacheth the Lord. And the soul that shall be cut off from among his people, because he hath despised the word of the Lord, and have utterly broken his commandment, that his soul shall be utterly cut off, his iniquity shall be upon him. Right? So with that, I'm going to say, Kahala Yahweh Bahashima Mashat Yahweh Shai. I pray that this class was edifying to the nation, and that these scriptures help you in the hard and dark times, that you took notes, you wrote down those scriptures, you read the accounts, you know what I'm saying, copied down the examples of our forefathers, because at the end of the day, we're going to need this to actually exalt ourselves spiritually in these privileged times, man. They are coming. Jacob's trouble is coming. Prepare yourself, prepare your family, right? The water for the cash apps, GoFundMe, the alms that are sent, when the Most High put it on your spirit, right? We're very thankful for that. We pray that we're able to travel to more cities and states to help spread the word of the Most High, right? Put up prayers and fasts that we're able to actually do that. But we do want to spread the truth of the Most High as far as we possibly can, right? Shalom salute to every congregation in camp, right? An Israelite that is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments as the Most High commands. Not thus say yourself, but thus say the Lord, right? And again, I'm Soldier Ehud Ban Yasharala of the Battle Axes of the Most High. I want to say have a happy Shabbat. Gather your provisions before this cold weather comes in. Don't wait until the last minute. It's going to be pretty cold out there, but I pray the Lord's mercy and grace during the time of his work, because these things must come to pass, and we will all make it based on his grace and mercy. And I pray it upon you. In the name of Yahweh, Bahashim, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, Shalom.